Welcome back to the Pulse on the Journey channel. Now, yesterday, Parliament passed an amendment to the Narcotics Control Commission Act after the Supreme Court struck out Section 43 of the law as unconstitutional. Now, Section 43 empowered the Interior Minister to grant license to an entity to cultivate a quantity of cannabis in Ghana for industrial and medicinal purposes. The Supreme Court said because there was no debate on the floor on that section, it was null and void. Parliament has now amended the law and inserted the same provision back into it, paving the way for cultivation and use of cannabis for industrial and medicinal purposes. We'll speak to those who led the push to have it passed shortly. Right now, a report on how things unfolded in Parliament. Kweku Asante, our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, has more.
Motion that the Narcotics Control Commission Amendment Bill 2023 be now read the third time. Minister for Interior.
Right Honourable Speaker, I move that the Narcotics Control Commission Amendment Bill 2023 be now read the third time.
The question is that those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried.
An act to amend the Narcotics Control Commission Act 2022, Act 1019, to insert Section 43 to empower the Minister to grant a license for the cultivation of cannabis, which has not more than 0.3% THC content on dry weight basis for industrial purposes, for obtaining fiber or seed, or for medicinal purposes.
Honourable members, the Narcotics Control Commission Amendment Bill 2023 is deemed read the third time and passed.
So that's what happened in Parliament. Joining us now is Nana Ajiman, who is Chief Executive of Empire Ghana Limited. Nana, grateful for joining us here. You've been at the forefront of this. First, your reaction. And I kindly unmute so we can understand what you're telling us.
Yes, a hempful afternoon to you, sir. My apologies about that. I think it's timely. I think they moved very quickly to ensure that this was done. They obviously have issues with the Supreme Court, and they didn't mince their words, really, did they? But that's their business. They've done the right thing this time. So no one can go to the Supreme Court and raise any issues this time. I'm happy for all of us as Ghanaians, because this isn't a victory for Nana Ajiman, this is a victory for all Ghanaians. As it stands at the moment, we have very high unemployment. Lots of our youths are unemployed, and this creates the opportunity for us to establish the industrial cannabis industry, where tens of thousands of people can be directly employed, and equally so, tens of thousands of people can also be indirectly employed. There's the opportunity for the government of Ghana now to generate income internally from taxation, from the cultivation and export of the crop. Environmentally, we can also reclaim much of the land, all of the land, in fact, that has been poisoned by toxic waste such as mercury and other chemicals, as has been done by those doing galamsey. We can reclaim all those lands, because as it stands now, the farmers are there looking on those lands. They can't go there to cultivate any high-value crops because of the poisoned nature of the land. But once you cultivate industrial hemp on those lands, we will be able to clear up all the poison, because the industrial hemp / cannabis will absorb all the poisons. And probably over a period of 2 years, we can reclaim those lands, and farmers can go there again and plant high-value crops. The same is true for our water bodies. A combination of dredging and one or two chemical mixes, and the cultivation of industrial hemp on the water bank, on the waterbed. We'll also see all our waters cleared back up and fit for domestic use. And medicinally, the industrial cannabis, the oil from the industrial cannabis is good for PSTD, it's good for AHD, it's good for autism, it's good for epilepsy. It has strong anti-inflammatory compounds as well, which is good for your bones and good for muscle tissue. And it covers a wide range of ailments, insomnia and the like. So all around, right across the board, it's a win-win situation for Ghana. And I'm so happy for Ghanaians because we deserve this. It's been a long time overdue. And as the Minister for Interior made quite clear, and also Honourable Alban Bagbin backed him up, if we had moved swiftly to endorse this in the very beginning, we would have made $3 billion. We wouldn't have had to be going to the IMF for that $3 billion US. We would have generated that ourselves, just in taxes. So it's a win-win situation, a brand new industry to be established, and the possibility and the potential of being the hub for West Africa, as well as producers adding value, like producing hempcrete, hemp wood, hemp water, hemp textiles, hemp charcoal, and a whole range of cosmetics. We can be the hub for Europe as well.
Now, you talk about the fact that we can generate some 3 billion from this industry. How many hectares of this can generate this 3 billion? And how prepared is Ghana, in terms of tapping into this to generate this sort of revenue you're talking about?
Well, I've not got my calculator here with me to give you those finite details. I think we spoke holistically, and I agree with them holistically, that 3 billion sum, because we've been waiting for 3 years. And that basically works out to be $1 billion a year. I think we are ready because stakeholders have been waiting for a very long time. We have an experienced group of farmers who currently, whether we like it or not, cultivate illegally. They are cultivating recreational cannabis. And whether we like it or not, to be honest with you, Ghana's recreational cannabis is right up there in the rankings. And it's being distributed throughout West Africa and globally too. It's rated very highly. In fact, on the continent, Ghana is ranked number 3 for cultivation and consumption, behind Nigeria and South Africa. And these group of farmers, far from locking them up and throwing away the key, we need them because they have the expertise required when it comes to this plant and different strains of this plant, of nurturing the plant and getting the best out of the plant. So when it comes to being ready, Ghana is ready. Ghana is ready. Of course, there will be challenges with financial resources, and that will pose the biggest problem because our banks and financial institutions are not loan friendly. They want to charge you 40% for a loan, and that's madness, to be perfectly honest with you. We can't afford that. And so we will have to look outside of the continent to secure loans with an interest rates of between 3 to 7%. That is dramatic when you really consider it all. So Ghana is ready. We've got a challenge with finance, and we will try to rectify that ASAP when the time is right. Okay. But we're ready. We're ready, and we've been ready for a long time.
As we speak, how many hectares of that is under cultivation? You mentioned that we're already cultivating it. So how many hectares do we have?
No, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that. I can only let you know that it is under cultivation, and we know, because from time to time, there are some incidences that you capture yourself where recreational cannabis is being destroyed. And even the Narcotics Control Commission said they destroyed over like 50 million cedis worth of hemp just the other day, of industrial, recreational cannabis the other day. So we know that, you know, when it comes to the finance, it's up there. The money, it's up there. It's a huge amount. It's a huge amount. And unfortunately, what is being sold at the moment, government doesn't get a quarter of it. They don't get any of it. It goes into the informal system before it now trickles down into our formal economic system. But, you know, those people are required. They're very important people. And I'm hoping that they will join the bandwagon and see that the first step is for us to start cultivating industrial cannabis to the benefit of all Ghanaians.
All right. So what it means is that the recreational one is still illegal, but now they can switch to the industrial cannabis.
Precisely. That's what they should do.
Okay.
That's what they should do. That's what we're hoping that they will all do.
Okay. Now, with this enactment of the law, Ghana takes a significant step towards harnessing the potential benefit of cannabis cultivation. By allowing the controlled cultivation of cannabis with limited THC content, the government aims to tap into its industrial potential and explore its use in the production of fiber and seed. Moreover, the medicinal properties of cannabis can now be further explored and utilized in a regulated manner. How can we do this?
Well, it's fairly simple. You see, it starts from the seeds. And the seeds have to be certified. They have to be certified 0.3 or less. They come with a certificate. And it's those are the seeds that we're going to cultivate, because there are no hemp seeds in Ghana, because all we've been growing is recreational cannabis, the marijuana. So there are no hemp seeds here. We have plenty of marijuana seeds, but no hemp seeds, no industrial cannabis seeds here. So we will seek to import those seeds in. They will come with a certificate that says they are 0.3 THC or less. Okay. And that's where we will start. We will use some of those seeds to grow for seeds. So once we get the first batch of seeds, we won't import any more seeds again. We ourselves will grow for cultivar, and that's growing for seeds. We have companies here that Empire Agri Ghana have linked up with. They will be the companies that will take on the element of growing for seeds. So that's where it starts from. That is where it starts from.
Obviously, then we need guidelines. We need regulations to regulate the industry itself. What must be the guiding principles, for development of these guidelines and standards to guide this cannabis industry?
Well, the guidelines are clear, and they're written in the law. You can obtain a license to cultivate industrial cannabis with a THC content of 0.3. It shouldn't be more than that. Those are the guidelines. And in terms of the standards, it's the biomass that is required and the seeds. Those standards will not change, because you can't change how the whole thing grows. So it will automatically meet international standards, especially and in particular because the seeds are coming from Europe, certified seeds from Europe and the West.
Okay, all right then. But once this is done, we should also look at the issue of abuse as well, or it does not arise?
No, but you can't abuse industrial cannabis because it's not for recreational purposes. It's for industrial purposes and medicinal purposes. So it can't be abused. No one is going to smoke it. Let me make it clear to everyone who is watching. You cannot smoke industrial cannabis. You can't smoke it.
Okay.
And whilst there are some people who say you can, I know the audience I'm speaking to. So I'm telling them quite clearly, you can't smoke it. You'll have no interest in smoking it. It will do nothing for you. If you smoke a house full, it will do nothing for you at all, because the THC level in there is negligible. You need THC levels starting from 5 to 25% for that high effect to kick in. At 0.3, nothing. Just imagine you're having a glass of wine and the volume is 0.3. It's like drinking a can of Coke. Nothing is going to go down. But the moment you're looking at 7% volume, 10% volume, 12% volume, you will feel the impact of that drink. It's a similar thing. It's a similar thing. You could equate THC to the volume in a bottle of wine. So no one is going to abuse that at all. It cannot be abused. Instead, we will kick off a brand new industry and start producing hempcrete and hemp wood and hemp charcoal and hemp textiles and the likes. And the oil, as I said before, is good for a number of different ailments. And the seed too is also considered a superfood. You get omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, which is very good for the body. So all round, this plant all round can benefit us in many, many, many different ways.
I'm particularly interested in how it will help us, recover the destroyed lands as a result of galamsey. When you say
it's a fact.
So I'll be looking forward to that.
Let me say this to you. About 35 years in Chernobyl, up in the same Ukraine area there, they had a radiation leak. It was from the plant at Chernobyl itself. And man, woman, child, beast, birds, insects, all died. And what they had to do was cultivate industrial cannabis right around the site. That is what they did. And over a number of years, it cleared up the radiation almost entirely. But even if you look it up, you will see that when it comes to radiation and toxic chemicals, etc., hemp, industrial cannabis is what is required to clean that all up. So all those lands in the western region, critically poisoned beyond anything that we know. When we cultivate industrial hemp in there, trust me, we're going to clean it up and reclaim those lands for the farmers and still sell the industrial hemp on to those who wish to buy it. So that's a win-win situation. And when it comes to climate control in terms of global warming, etc., hemp consumes the carbon emissions more than trees. Much more than trees. So it's a win-win, and from there, the World Bank will give us even more money for that as well.
But I'm grateful to you, Nana, for joining us this afternoon here on the Parl.